All right, welcome everybody to the first in a while live viewer and listener town hall. It's so exciting to be here. Part of this is taking place, or the reason this is taking place on our new YouTube channel, Pacman Live, is we just want to promote the channel. It's funny, I got a couple emails and saw a few comments from people saying, David, you're just doing this to promote the second YouTube channel, aren't you? Yeah, but is that like evil or something? So we are going to be hearing from people in the audience. I so appreciate everybody who has subscribed. I think we added like 1,000 subscribers today to the second channel, Pacman Live. We are going to be taking calls via Discord momentarily. Let me see what else I need to explain. Super chats will be on screen. As you can see, we have that gray box over there. We are graying out Twitch subscribers because this is all about this second channel. And we are going to commit to a second town hall next week if we get to 100 members. Pushing us to 43 are Henry Greyhawk, as well as Barbara Dyer Bennett, numbers 42 and 43. Very much appreciate that. Actually, hold on a second. I should even just, there we go. That's better. Okay. So we're just going to get right into calls momentarily. Okay. If you want to speak to me and you are not a website member, you can go into the waiting lobby on Discord at davidpacman.com/Discord. If you want to speak to me and you are a website member, you will have available to you the member waiting lobby. Now, if this is going to work and if we're going to do it again, I am going to need to ask you to do me a favor, though. Hold on.
I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
No, that's not the favor. The favor is whether you're in the waiting lobby or the member waiting lobby, if you get on after we're done speaking, please leave the waiting lobby so that I can actually make sure I'm not calling on the same people twice, because we're going to talk to a lot of people. I'm going to try to remember everybody I've spoken to, but it's hard to remember every single name. So in order to not clog the pipes, please, if we've spoken, congratulations, please, thank you, peace and love, all of those things, but leave both waiting lobbies. And also, please only be in one waiting lobby at a time. I think you can only be in one at a time, right, on Discord? Yeah. Anyway, I think that will help things to go more smoothly. Okay, let's just start. Who is first today? Let's start with a member today. Oh, hold on. I need to first join the lobby. Let's start today with Brett from Detroit. You are on the live town hall.
Wow, David, I did not expect to be called first.
Neither did I, quite frankly. I didn't know you would be until moments ago.
Well, that's great.
Thank you.
So I have a quick question. Well, first of all, I really appreciated a couple of days ago you had that, was it the state attorney general or the guy from Tennessee, the Republican?
Yes, so it was the Republican lieutenant governor from Georgia,
Yes.
Not Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, Georgia.
Yep.
I really love that. And you know what it did? It really reminded me that not all these Republicans are really those Trumpian Republicans. It gave me a little bit of hope for maybe the future of the Republican Party, just slightly.
Yeah, the thing is, the guy couldn't articulate any policy he actually disagreed with Trump on. So it's like he didn't like Trump's tweets, but he basically was still a Trump guy. You know, that was what was disappointing to me.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess what my question would be was, what do you think the best situation would be if we just got all these Trumpian Republicans out of there? What would that mean for the Republican Party? What would that mean for the country as a whole?
Well, for the Republican Party, it would mean one of two things. Either it is their death knell, or they just reorganize as something more like Mitt Romney and John McCain, which is what a lot of more traditional conservatives have been saying should happen anyway. For the country, it's just better. If what we are fighting against on the left is people that we have reasonable policy disagreements with, as opposed to completely unhinged lunatics, it allows us to just get more done, and it brings the Overton window to the left, both of which would be good things.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with you. Got to shift that Overton window if we want any real progress. That's for sure.
I agree. Brett, thank you so much for the call.
Thank you, David.
All right. There is Brett. got right to his question. Let's go next. We're going to do another member, then we'll go to a non-member. I see memberships dumping in. It's very exciting. Let's go to a member from my hometown of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Let's go to Leah. Leah, we've spoken before, right? Leah? Leah from Buenos Aires, you are on the air. Okay. All right. Let's go next to a non-member. Next, we are going to speak to, let's speak to, I don't know. How about Mark from New Jersey? You are on the air, my friend. Mark from New Jersey, you're on the air. All right. No Mark from New Jersey. Let's instead try Jim from Pennsylvania. Jim from Pennsylvania. And Jim hung up, did not want to be on the air. Let's try Nisha from Michigan.
Hi, David.
How are you? Great to speak to you again.
Yeah, great speaking to you too. Unfortunately, I don't really have any questions. I have been pretty much trying to keep away, of course, from the all the stuff that is going on, because I'm not gonna lie, it has been giving me a headache. So yeah.
I understand that. That's not that doesn't sound crazy to me, actually.
Yeah, because it's been a whole lot of stuff that has been pretty much going on. So it's pretty much like one too many things going on at once.
But are you generally doing okay? Just a little burnt out on politics?
Yeah, I'm a little burnt out on politics. The last thing that I actually saw from one of your videos was pretty much the thing about Colin Powell.
Yes.
Of course, he was a part of the Bush administration.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, of course, I know that there is going to be some anti-vaxxers that are going to be saying, hey, the vaccine doesn't work. There's no need to actually go and get the vaccine, even though that doesn't really, that's actually not true.
No, it doesn't check out. It doesn't check out mathematically. It doesn't check out medically. We actually have a whole clip on it today about all the reasons for why that doesn't make sense, including Colin Powell's age, his immunocompromised status, the fact that, listen, the rate of death among vaccinated people is a tiny fraction of the rate of death among the unvaccinated.
It's like 0 point, like a point something.
It's very small. It's very small. Exactly.
Very small. Because I knew it was very rare. And also, I know he was 84.
Yes.
I didn't really know what was he sick with, actually, if anyone knows.
He had both Parkinson's and multiple myeloma, which is a form of it's bone marrow cancer.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, immunocompromised. So, yeah. So 84, he was old, unfortunately, and immunocompromised, which again is, unfortunate. So
doesn't make it any less sad, but it's an anecdote that doesn't go against the broader statistics.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely condolences to his family, though. But yeah, that is messed up. But still, I'm pretty sure he did it, of course, because I know he didn't want to, at least die from it anyway. Not like that.
He was vaccinated. That's what he could do, Unfortunately, he got it from someone. That's the reality. Nisha, I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep moving because we have so many people holding. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. There is Nisha from Michigan. I do want to say thank you to Carrie Gilbert for signing up at joinpacman.com. Thanks to Chris Fry for signing up on my website, as well as Colleen Dobert or Dobert. Not exactly sure exactly what that pronunciation is. Let's go back over to our member lobby and go next to Haley from Georgia. Haley, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
So the last time we spoke was about my dismay about the Georgia General Assembly being packed with a bunch of Republicans.
Yes.
Though, we just elected 2 senators and a president that were Democrats. But Ever since we talked about that, I've been considering actually running against my General Assemblyman.
Really?
He ran, yeah, he ran unopposed, and he is the deputy whip for the Republican Party.
You're
And
cutting,
why?
you're cutting in and out, unfortunately, but somebody's using whips or is a deputy whip.
Yes, my General Assemblyman is the deputy whip for the Republican Party in the General Assembly.
Got it.
So yeah, and he ran unopposed in Blue County.
That
So
seems like someone, I don't know. Listen, I don't know if it should be you or someone else. You sound great, Haley, but somebody's got to challenge that.
yeah, I agree. And I just really wanted to come on here to encourage anybody else who's considering it, anybody who has the means. It only costs $400 in Georgia to put your name on the ballot.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have the time, if you have the will, please run against these people.
I completely agree with you. And I mean, they're going to be trying to dump in votes no matter what. We might as well fight them on it, right?
They call
Yes,
them dumps.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Haley, thank you so much. I appreciate the call.
Thanks.
All right. There is Haley from the member lobby. Let's do one more from the member lobby. How about Mike from Queens, New York? Mike, you are on the air.
Hi, David. Thank you for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I actually wanted to ask you about books and reading, if you don't mind.
Sure. And by the way, thank you so much for being a member on the website. I really appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've been a member since a little bit before the pandemic. So
Okay, great.
And keeping me company throughout.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to restate what I've heard you say on streams, allow you to clarify, and then ask my question, if that's okay.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's start the step with step one. Yeah.
So I've heard you say that you basically like wake up, you read for about an hour in the morning.
No, not an hour, like 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
15 minutes, then like an hour in the afternoon, and then a little bit before bed.
I think at this point, because of how busy I am, I'm reading 15 minutes in the morning, probably 20 in the afternoon, and like 30 before bed or something.
Wow. So, I mean, I'm just jealous of how many books you seem to be able to get through. And I was wondering, do you have like a reading method? Do you use like speed reading techniques, or you just, dedicate a lot of time to it? So that's how you're able to get through so many books.
I've tested a lot of different methods. And what I've found is that there's really no one method. Like if I'm reading fiction, by the way, and it's very, very noisy back there. I can't tell if that's my voice feeding back or Discord noises or what it is, but it's a wild situation there.
Sorry, I don't hear anything at all.
I think it's my own voice feeding back. For fiction, I just want to read fiction slowly and really get everything. There are some nonfiction books like narrative nonfiction that I read similarly to fiction. But then there's some nonfiction books where I might say, here, I'm really trying to get like the main dozen ideas from the book. So I will skim, I will read some chapters, and others I will maybe just look at like the first and last sentence of each paragraph, different methods for different books.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I was just curious because I know people like Tim Ferriss have these methods that they're constantly talking about. So
yeah, I don't really have any gimmick. It's just like I'll check out for nonfiction. I'll check out the table of contents. I will see if there's any specific chapters I want to get to immediately, and then I'll either skim and underline, or just close read.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call.
All right. Thank you. Mike from Queens. Very, very important stuff. Let's go next to the non-member lobby and speak next to, I don't know. How about Tua from Milwaukee? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Tua from Milwaukee, you're on the air. And last chance for Tua from Milwaukee.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Sorry, first time using Discord.
Pleasure.
So first off, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
During the election, you kept my head straight, so I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Just two questions. So, you know how like you always hear people say a businessman should run the government? Like, I never understood that concept. So, like, where did that come from,
You started hearing a lot of it when Mitt Romney was running against Barack Obama. The question I was asking then, which I still ask, is what evidence do we have that business people make good presidents? And sometimes people would point to God, I don't even remember who it was. There was like some president that was loosely a business person or something. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right to be suspicious of that. There is no reason to believe business people would make good presidents. Maybe some would, maybe some wouldn't. Trump didn't. Trump didn't make a good president, but you're right to be skeptical of that.
All right, thanks. And my second question is, I noticed that you travel a lot outside of the U.S., and my wife and I are planning to go to France.
Yes.
So what would be just like your number one tip for us?
For France, honestly, my number one tip for France is make an effort to learn some French. If you spend 3 months doing Duolingo French, do you have at least 3 months before your trip?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would do French Duolingo and go equipped with some basics. Not only is it enriching to learn a new language, even rudimentary phrases, the people will really appreciate it, even though many of them will speak English way better than you'll speak French. I've found that I've ended up in situations where I'm having full conversations with people in French. I took French in high school, to be clear, but I would highly recommend learning some French before going.
Okay, sounds good, Dave. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you very much. Folks, we're in the middle of a live town hall right now. 2 ways to get in touch. 1, get on our Discord and go to the waiting lobby, open to everybody. Second option, for priority handling, become a member on my website, joinpacman.com. Then on Discord, once we've verified your membership, you will have the member waiting lobby available to you. Very exciting. Let's go back over to the member waiting lobby. And because she sent such a polite super chat, let's go to, I always say it wrong. Is it Tamisha from New York City?
Yep, Tamisha.
Tamisha, it's great to have you back on today.
Thank you. By the way, when you did the super chat, my son was in the background and he heard you and he's like, is he talking about you?
I was indeed. What's on your mind today?
Well, I mean, I always have so much to talk about, but I'll stick to maybe 2 if I can. But
oh boy.
One sure is immigration. I don't know about you, but I find the talking point of immigration all the time to be a bit much because I don't feel it to be a priority in this country. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying that immigration shouldn't be addressed at all, but I just feel like there's so many other things that can be addressed that are more important in this country.
Well, let me make sure I understand. You're saying you think the issue of undocumented immigration is overblown, or just immigration in general?
Undocumented immigration, and especially at the border.
I see. Yeah, I mean, listen, here's the thing. It's an issue in the sense that countries have borders and they can enforce borders. And within that, there's a lot of side issues, which is, are we allowing asylum seekers to actually seek asylum in the way that our own laws are supposed to allow them to do? Or are we using, for example, Title 42 to just send people back? Like, that's a real issue. Number 2, what do we do about the fact that it is disproportionately the undocumented immigrants rather than the companies that hire them that are held accountable? Number 3, what do we do about vaccination? These are all real issues. The part that's the BS is pretending like everything was fine under Trump and now it's crazy under Biden or whatever. These things have not changed dramatically. What's changed dramatically is the pandemic situation. And that's the part I find really cynical and dishonest.
But I also find that the notion that they say that immigrants coming in through the border are taking over and taking resources from Americans and hurting Americans, that's also nonsense also.
Yeah, well, what that ignores is obviously every person consumes resources, but there are entire industries that are dependent on undocumented immigrant labor. And people seem to ignore the fact that multiple industries, including agriculture and the restaurant industry, would collapse were it not for those immigrants, some of whom are documented, some of whom are undocumented. Businesses would be less viable because prices. They only want to talk about one side is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and they also use it as a fear-mongering tactic.
Of course, even though we know that both documented and undocumented immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans, which makes sense because they know that they're at risk of deportation. Undocumented immigrants are if they commit some other crime. Yeah.
Even with voting, they use that as a fear-mongering.
Right. Yeah. An undocumented immigrant who can't even register to vote is going to go and try to give someone else's name. I mean, give me a break, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tamisha, listen, I know you have more stuff. If it's okay, let me keep moving so that we can get to as many people as possible, especially since you and I have spoken before.
Okay.
My pleasure. And say hi to your son for me, all right?
I will.
Okay, thank you. There's Tamisha from New York City, really an all-star caller, I have to tell you. Let's do another member, then we will go to a non-member. How about Drew from Fort Lauderdale, Florida?
David, sir.
Sir.
I wanted to go back real quick to what the gentleman said before about the business people running for politics, and I'm 48 years old, and my first election that I voted in was 1992.
Okay.
I registered as an independent, and I voted for Ross Perot.
Okay, that's concerning as a start to the call, but that's okay. I mean, listen, Clinton still won, so okay.
Yeah, he was a businessman and a successful one,
yes,
as opposed to the former guy.
He just didn't win.
Right. But, regardless, it went back to that, back further than that. But I just wanted to comment on the Republicans, like you talked about earlier, about like Jeff Duncan and how they say that they don't support Trump because of their conservative or / Christian values.
Yeah, right.
But for decades, these same people have been anti-healthcare, anti-abortion, anti-poor, anti-immigration. They want more guns. They want more oil.
Right.
I mean, these are things that hurt Americans. I mean, these are things that actually can kill Americans.
Sure.
And has there ever been a segment of the U.S. population besides Christian slave owners who are as hypocritical as these people are?
Not that I can think of. I mean, it's a good question. I not that I'm aware of. Maybe people in chat will have an idea, but they seem to be as hypocritical as it gets.
Yes, and it's very frustrating, and we're surrounded by these people. But also, very quickly, I just wanted to ask you a personal question. I was fortunate enough to go and visit or stay a couple days in Argentina, down in Ushuaia.
Oh, beautiful!
Am I saying that right?
We tend to say Ushuaia.
Ushuaia.
Yeah.
Just 2 days on my way to the Antarctica.
Right.
And I was wondering, did your parents immigrate to the U.S. for economic reasons, or
yes?
Was it okay? So it wasn't because I read up a little bit in Argentina's history about the anti-Semitism that dated back after World War II and whatnot. And
no, my family. Remember, not at all. No,
problem.
I was born in Argentina, and we came to the U.S. in '89 strictly for economic reasons, and just economics.
I really appreciate it, David. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for the call. Remember, everybody, once we've spoken, please leave the waiting lobby so that we can sort of make sure everybody in there are folks I have not yet spoken to. We're going to go next over to the non-member waiting lobby, but I do want to say thanks to Nick Morgan, who just signed up on my website, joinpacman.com, now has access to the member waiting lobby. Also, if we get to 100 website members today, we will do another live town hall next week. Now, once again, I'm going to say it one more time. Please do not send me direct messages, private messages on Discord. Okay. I'm going to have to ban you if you do that. It just, there's a waiting lobby. There's a process. I'm not speaking to people directly on there. It's just, it's an exercise in futility and frustration. So please, none of it, please. Let's go next to Sam from, I never know how to say this. Is it Terre Haute?
It is Terre Haute, yes.
Wow. What state is that? Indiana. Okay, got it. Is that northern, southern?
It's actually southern.
Southern,
I'm actually in West Lafayette right now, though, because I'm attending Purdue University.
Okay, fair. What's on your mind today?
I was just wondering, so I'm pretty new into politics. I started getting involved when I turned 18 and could vote, obviously.
Love it.
So I'm just wondering, like, how did you initially get into politics, and how did you determine like which party you should align with, or which side you should align with?
There was never really a time I remember not following politics, because my family just always followed politics, both in Argentina and in the U.S. and in Israel. And so I remember, when I was 12 and the Bill Clinton impeachment stuff was going on, I just remember being wrapped up and involved in it. I vaguely remember when Bill Clinton won in 1992, although I was really little to really understand what was going on there. So I'm not really aware of a time that I wasn't following politics. And in terms of I'm not a Democrat, so I never made a choice about a party to join, but I grew up in a liberal household and I grew up in a liberal area, and those were always just my leanings. And while I had some brief moments of more fiscal conservatism in high school, I kind of found my way back to being more fully on the left.
Cool. And then, what kind of resources do you use to do your research, I suppose? Because my background, I come from a very conservative family. So I watched a lot of conservative media, and then I was looking for, I guess, a liberal commentary to watch so that I could get a little bit of both sides. And
well, as I've said many times, if you imagine a pyramid, stuff like what I do it's like the junk food. It should be at the top of the pyramid. And I say that I'm not going to mislead people. You understand that, obviously. Really, what at the bottom of the pyramid is, we need to understand how to think. So the bottom of the pyramid is critical thinking, epistemology, media literacy, and philosophy. Understanding how to think, how to analyze media images, etc. The next step on the pyramid is history. We've got to understand what happened in order to contextualize what's taking place today. The next step is as close as we can get to just the news of what took place. So, in the US, we've got AP and Reuters. Different countries have different things, just not commentary, but the news. And then, to help formulate your opinion or in order to find common ground with other people, you might listen to commentary that you agree with, maybe some commentary you disagree with, etc.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you, I also downloaded Ground News because of some of your ads, and that's been very helpful.
They have a good tool, for understanding bias around stories. It's an excellent tool.
Yep. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you because the other day you did an interview with Spencer Hedworth, and I immediately emailed him after your show and got in contact with him and had a little sit-down conversation with him. So it was pretty cool getting, I don't know, it's almost like meeting someone famous. I just saw him on your show.
Fantastic.
And then I got to sit down with him in person.
That's tremendous.
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. Very much appreciated. Guys, that was a strong phone call. That was a very strong phone call. Svelte Duck just sent a $20 super chat saying we've never had super chats before on the live channel, saying here's to your first town hall and your second YouTube channel, Pacman, king of all streamers. Not quite. But I do want to say thanks to Nick Price, who just signed up at joinpacman.com with the coupon code felony21. Let's go back over to the member waiting lobby. Remember, you can sign up at joinpacman.com and get member priority express handling. Why don't we go next to, this looks interesting. Marta from Riga. Is that Riga, Latvia? Or is that Riga? I think there's a few Rigas in the United States.
Oh, it's Riga, Latvia.
Wow. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, Marta.
Right. Yeah, it's COVID paradise here.
Are you being sarcastic, or are things good there?
Yes, it's paradise for COVID. Yes.
It's paradise for the virus or for people?
Yes. Because the virus, because we have COVID parties so everyone can get COVID. But that's not my question right now.
Oh my God. Okay.
well, because of mandates and everything. Okay.
Yes.
But I'm a first-time caller. I'm very nervous. I hope it will go.
You're doing great.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I was thinking about your politics in America and your two-party system and how really weird it is for me, because in Latvia we have. I think we have 7 parties currently, and 4 of them have made coalition to and are ruling. Four of those are ruling parties right now. And I was thinking, since currently there's so much infighting in Democrats, why haven't Democrats thought about splitting up?
Unfortunately, it's a great question, Marta. It's a fantastic question.
Yes.
The reason is
because I can.
Go ahead.
I can say, yeah, but can I complete my
Please,
thoughts?
sorry, I apologize, Marta. I apologize.
Okay, because when not just splitting up, but splitting up and rebranding, so that progressives will stay with progressives because, well, they don't care what other people think, I think, and but the centrist Democrats could rebrand themselves as for the working class or for people or for currently important things, and so they could get more Republicans to go to them that are against progressives like that. So it was my thought, not just splitting up, but rebranding as well, because then Republicans couldn't attack them as much.
It's a perfect idea and a great question. Unfortunately, because of the way our elections work, the party that does that first helps the opposing party. If Democrats split off and start their own party, they take away some of the vote from the Democratic Party, and it helps Republicans win. And if we can get a different system like single transferable vote or proportional representation, that's a different story, Marta. But the way things are right now, unfortunately, it would only hurt Democrats and the left to do that.
But is it that how? But if you get 30% for one and 30 for other and 40 for Republicans, why would it go to Republicans?
So 2 reasons. Number one, those numbers are not the numbers in the United States. The left is not 60% such that you could then split it 30-30. That's number one. And then number two, in a presidential election, if it's 30-30-40, the ones that got 40 win. That's the way it works here in the U.S.
Oh, yeah, of course. I forgot that you have people elected president. We do not have that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, great.
Marta, I've been to Estonia, never to Latvia. Is it worth going?
Well, it's beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, I think. Currently, I wouldn't recommend it because of COVID, you know.
Yes.
And we are currently in another lockdown and everything, but people are against it and everything. But it's beautiful and wonderful. I would suggest you come and see.
Well, one day I hope to make it. I hope to make it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
All right. Thanks, Marta. Marta from Riga, Latvia. Very exciting. I want to say thank you to Brian Shaw for signing up on my website. Thanks to Spencer Finn for signing up on my website. Thank you to Audrey Serenity for signing up on my website. New members number 49, 50, and 51. Oh, and also thank you to Evelyn Pualani for signing up on my website, number 52. We've also we've had a breach, folks. We are beyond 13,000 subscribers on the new channel, which is very, very exciting. All right, let's hear from one more member, then we'll go back over to the other folks in the regular waiting lobby. How about, let's go to Johnny from Boston. Johnny, you're on the air.
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, you can hear me fine?
Yes, you're coming in very clearly.
All right, fantastic. So just a couple questions. One was, I listened to the bonus show today.
Yes.
And you're talking about like the loans and the payment pausing that's happening.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I work in higher ed, and one of the things that's also happening is that a lot of the loan servicers that have come through have changed. So some of the people who have gone through and like they may not know that they have to pay somebody else after February, and the messaging has been really bad. So I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
I actually have not. I didn't realize that was an additional component.
Yeah, it's kind of bad, because there are a number of companies that have been in the game for a number of years and they're getting out of it. And unfortunately, some of the members and some of the people who are, paying these companies don't necessarily know about it. And it's unfortunate. I'm in the game and I go, if I can barely understand it, if I can't understand it, nobody, like most people are not going to understand it. So I kind
Right.
of feel bad. I'm glad that you're putting it out there that some of the things are happening.
Yeah, I'll look into that, but certainly the loan repayment piece is one we've been talking about a lot. But no, the servicing part I just didn't know about.
Yeah, it's unnecessarily complicated. So, but I was glad that you're putting that out there.
Yeah, very good.
And yeah, my other question is, I'm going to be part of a panel on on podcast, and I have some equipment. Is there anything that you would recommend for anyone who's first time going onto a podcast? If there's any sort of tips or anything that you want to keep in mind when I'm utilizing any sort of the kind of just basic mic and pop filters and things like that that I should utilize?
Well, a couple of things, number one, try to be in a room where the room tone is good. If you're in a room, like for example, my studio, the entire walls and ceiling all have acoustic foam to deaden the room as much as possible. If you're in a room with wood floors, nothing on the walls, nothing on the floor, it's going to be really echoey. So try to deaden the sound. If you need to go into a closet, if there's no video, go into a closet and put a couple pillows around you if you need to. That'll help the sound. Number two, understand the type of microphone you're using and whether you're supposed to talk into the end or the side, because that will definitely affect your sound. And wear headphones so that there's no chance of the other guests feeding back into your own mic and creating a feedback loop.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely find a place for that because I have nothing but wood floors in my house. So
Yep.
it's echo chamber, but awesome. Well, I'm a former Western Masser myself, so always good to talk to someone from Western Mass.
Oh, love it. Yeah, I was out there not long ago, and it's fall. It's great. There's apples and cider donuts and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I love that. Atkins Farm.
Yep.
Great times.
Yep. All right, Johnny. Thank you very much for the call.
Thanks so much.
All right,
Appreciate
there
it.
we go. Really high quality phone calls today, guys, I must say. Let's go over to the waiting lobby and speak to some additional people. How about Angel from Long Island? Angel, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, David?
How you doing?
What was I gonna ask you? Sorry, I was eating my Five Guys. Oh, I was gonna ask you. I'm always like sort of thinking about issues on the left and issues on the right, and it's very common to feel like the issues on the right are sort of deprioritized or not prioritized well, I guess you would say.
By who?
Yeah, so like commonly, for a while we were all laughing about Dr. Seuss and all sorts of weird things, Colin Kaepernick. I was wondering if you thought there were any issues primarily that the left deals with that are not correctly prioritized.
In other words, things the left talks about that really should not be taking up that much focus?
Exactly, yes.
I mean, listen, this is tough because the answers are so cliche at this point because it's the stuff we've all talked about. And so I want to be careful in how I say it, but sometimes the left allows the perfect to become the enemy of the good, or is unwilling to work with people they have 90% agreement with because of the 10% on which they disagree, and it just gets in the way of making any progress at all. Or sometimes there's a focus on, like, sometimes in small town politics where like what really matters is potholes, funding schools, and bringing businesses in. Town councils and city councils are making pronouncements about Black Lives Matter or the Israeli-Palestinian conflict or whatever, where it's like, guys, this really doesn't affect the day-to-day of what people are just dealing with in this municipality. So stuff like that, I feel like is sometimes the left goes astray on.
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly with respect to both of those things. Also, sometimes the gun issue, I don't feel like is worth pursuing as much as we do. But
I don't disagree with that. I think there's times where it's just like, hey, listen, we know we disagree with a lot of people here or there or wherever on firearms, but it's not actually relevant to this particular race or this particular issue. So you don't always have to mention it.
Yeah, it just seems like a waste of political capital. One more quick question. I just wanted to ask you, because I remember a few years ago you were doing little segments, and it was like it would be like something about the minimum wage, and you would just cover it. It wasn't related to any news story. I guess you just lay out an argument for it. It was like your version of like Ben Shapiro's Debunked thing. did that like not work out, or did you do everything you felt like you had to do with that, or?
Do you mean the long form videos, like the 25-minute ones?
They were long form. Yes.
Oh, no, we still, I mean, we do those occasionally. We've been really busy and they do take a lot of staff time, but we've got 3 that are already fully scripted that we've just got to get put together.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like those a lot. So
Yeah,
all right,
good.
that's
We'll do more.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice
All
talking
right,
to you.
very good. Appreciate the call. There's Angel from Long Island. Very, very exciting stuff. We are hearing from people all across the globe, quite frankly. Let's go back over and hear from a member or two. If you are a member at joinpacman.com, we have a completely separate waiting lobby available for you on Discord. Also, we are just 48 new members away from locking in a second live town hall for next week, which is crazy. That the idea of doing that, it's quite nuts. It's quite nuts. Let's go next to Francois from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. One of my favorite cities in the world. Francois, bienvenue.
Merci, Mr. Pacman, sir. How's my connection?
It's actually, I can't believe how good it is.
Sir, I think you're doing very
Great.
well.
Well, I have 2 questions, so I'll jump right in and I'll try to make this a perfect phone call.
Please.
All right. So my first question is sort of about political intention on the right. So if you take, for example, like some influential Republican career politicians, kind of like Mitch McConnell or like Newt Gingrich, these people kind of essentially devoted their life's work to things like, lowering taxes, being anti-abortion, packing the court with conservative judges, what have you. So do you think these people like actually believe that they're working towards making a positive impact on American society, like as they see it? Or do you think they're just kind of cynically maintaining power while doing things which are usually kind of at the detriment even of the people that they represent?
I believe that they believe either because it's genuinely what they believe or they've deluded themselves into believing it, that by making things better for people like themselves, they are helping the country. Now, that's like a really convoluted answer because I think it's so depraved that there's like multiple levels to it. I do believe that those folks believe their political platform is good for the country by virtue of being good for people like them through trickle-down economics, etc. So yes, I think they think that. I think they're completely deluded in that thought.
Interesting. Yeah, I've kind of thought something similar. I mean, it sort of ties in almost to what you talk about a lot on the show regarding like deep programming. I feel like maybe when I was a bit younger, I used to kind of approach this question from sort of assuming people just had good intentions and then trying to engage in an almost good faith way.
Yeah.
Maybe that's naive because, certain points you need to acknowledge that the other side's operating so deeply in bad faith. You're not even playing the same game anymore. But in the way that you describe it, it's almost like there is almost a good faith element to it in the sense that they're driven by something that they actually believe is good. It's not like a pure, almost, like House of Cards style cynicism.
Yeah, for some of them. For some of them, I think it is just pure House of Cards style cynicism and how can I enrich myself as much as possible.
Like Ted Cruz or Trump obviously is a great example of someone with zero good intentions, in my opinion. Yeah.
And I would put Ted Cruz in that boat as well.
Yeah, for sure. So my second question is a quick one. It's actually about gardening. I've seen you post a bit about your garden before with some very strong eggplants and other impressive hauls. So I was wondering if you had any resources, maybe you'd recommend some good books or YouTube channels that you've used.
Listen, the top in my mind, for my money, and take it for what it's worth, I think the top gardening YouTube channel is Epic Gardening. Sorry. I think it's fantastic. Kevin Espiritu runs the channel. He's a fan of the David Pacman Show. We're mutual fans. He's supported us. We're supporting him. I think he's got one of the top gardening channels.
All right. That's great. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
Thanks
please.
so much.
Hey, listen, Montreal, have you been to the coffee shop Tommy in the Old Port?
Yes, I have.
What do you think of that place? Is that a hip place?
You know what? I'm going to recommend a different coffee shop for you. Maybe next time you come and visit, you can check it out. It's
Really?
called Cafe Olympico. Perhaps you've heard of it.
I have, yeah. What neighborhood is that in?
It's called the Mile End. It's actually right next to all of the bagel.
Oh, yeah. It's near like Saint Viator and those, yeah.
Exactly, which is by you mentioned that's the better of the two bagels. I'd like to just put that out there for any other listeners.
Of course,
to,
of course.
Check out. That's a controversial statement. I think that might need to be censored. But
Not to me. Okay, good. So I'll check that Cafe Olympico. And then have you been to Pastaga?
I have. Yeah, great spot.
That's a hell of a spot. I've got to tell you. Okay. All right. Thank you, Francois. Really appreciate the call.
All right. My
Okay.
pleasure.
There we go. Francois from Montreal. It's really a hell of a city. I've got to tell you guys, if you have not been, it is a tremendous, tremendous place to go. Okay. Let's go back over to the standard waiting lobby. Remember, if we've spoken, please get out, just so we don't get confused. Let's go next to Gabriella from Italy. Gabriella, welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm a second-time caller, I believe. I love your show so much.
Yeah, remind me, are you in northern Italy?
No, I'm actually I did just completed my undergrad in Rome.
Oh, Rome. Okay, got it. Beautiful.
Yeah. I did my undergrad in international relations, so I kind of have a question on that. I just moved to Brussels to do my graduate school.
Oh, now that's a world-class city, Gabriella. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's where I'm at currently. I just had Italy from the previous times that I called.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
I'm glad you like Brussels. I just moved here, so I'm getting used to it myself.
Yeah.
So my question regards the infrastructure deal, but actually from the IR point of view as more of a foreign policy decision, how it affects the U.S. and how we're viewed worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
We've been discussing it a lot as how our allies view us, being able to get this done, but also with the economic race with China. And I just wanted to know your take on that.
Specifically in terms of the importance of the infrastructure deal in the context of competition with China?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're spot on. I've talked about this before. What would there, if you are sort of a right wing, America first, we've got to be the strongest and the best in all of this stuff. When you look at many of the airports of Asia, for example, and then you look at, I know it's almost like cliche to say this, but you look at LaGuardia, and I know LaGuardia is under renovation. It's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. And you say, we want to be making deals with big time people, and they're going to fly into our airport, although they wouldn't go to LaGuardia for an international flight. And then they see these airports in Asia and in the Middle East. We look like a joke. That's an infrastructure thing where a lot of these Republicans go, what are we spending on? Public transit, et cetera, et cetera. The point here is, if we really want to be America first, which is not a term I use, and, it has anti-Semitic origins, all this stuff. But if that's your idea, you should see the infrastructure spending as a way to keep up with the countries that are our, at least economic adversaries, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that the left kind of misses out on tapping into that nationalism sentiment to get even the Green New Deal and things like that passed, because they are pushing America to be better on the world stage. And I think that is left out a lot in the conversation.
Now, there's a debate about whether we should appeal to their values to get them to agree to stuff that we want for other reasons. That's a debate in politics. I think there's no one answer. I think it's sometimes yes and sometimes maybe not.
Yeah, I think, there's the positives and negatives of nationalism, and it's obviously the connotation that you use it, but there are positives too, wanting your country to do better, and we should definitely use it.
Without a doubt. Uh-oh, Gabriella, your signal is becoming subpar. Gabriella? Oh, that's too bad. We lost Gabriella, but I really do appreciate the call from Brussels, the great city of Brussels. Here's a recommendation for Gabriella if she's still listening. Some of the best ramen I have had, Umamido St. Catherine in Brussels. Even if you're vegetarian or vegan, they've got vegetarian and vegan ramen. Absolutely fantastic place. Could be closed now. Who the hell knows? But that's a great spot. Let's go back over to the member waiting lobby. You can sign up right now and get access to the member waiting lobby on Discord by signing up at joinpacman.com. Let's go to B from Michigan. B from Michigan.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, hi. I just signed up to Discord like right now.
Thank you. Well, welcome. Welcome.
Hi. So my question is, about a month ago or so, I heard, what's his name? Bo of the Fifth Column talking about a memo that was, I believe, sent from the White House administration to, I don't know, authority, maybe Pentagon, or I don't exactly remember which authority agency it went to, about not showing any force to the rally members of January 6th. And I don't recall hearing anybody else mention it. Did you cover that, or have you heard about that?
I don't know the memo you're referring to, B, unfortunately.
You know, and I just thought that it hadn't been more, news, or, aired more on the news channels or anything. It's the only channel I've heard it on in just that one time and nothing else. And I just thought that was really odd.
Yeah.
That memo would be sent out saying, do not use any force on those rally members. And of course, with the occurrence of what happened, it's just like another thing that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I let me look into it. This is the first I've heard of it, so let me check it out.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks, B. There it goes. B from Michigan. Very, very strong call. Direct question, right to the point. Let's go next to Evan from is it pronounced Harrogate in the United Kingdom?
Hello, David. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fantastic. It's pronounced Harrogate, actually.
Harrogate. I like it.
Yes. So I just had hopefully a quick question, not really sure. But I just wanted to ask about Donald Trump's kind of rise to power and what that might mean for other authoritarian kind of leaders across the world. So I'm just wondering, do you think the methods and sort of techniques that he used to gain a following and kind of erode the opposition, so sort of scandal after scandal, kind of picking and choosing the narrative that he wanted to I don't know, propagate, I guess, was that a conscious choice, or was that just part and parcel of Donald Trump being who he is?
I think that it was. I think that there were people around Trump who understood the power of his. To call it a strategy is almost too much, because I think for Trump, it's just who Trump is, and he found like the perfect marks for it. But I think there were people around Trump, like Steve Bannon, who understood the specific power of that strategy of coarse language and just lying constantly and taking all sides of every issue and completely flouting, not flaunting, flouting norms and even regulations in many cases. I think there were people around Trump who were like, this is actually perfect for the types of people we need to vote for us.
You think that could be used elsewhere in the world?
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I mean, the U.S. electorate is uniquely ignorant in some sense, but I do think that there's a possibility that it could be applied in other countries too.
Yeah, I see plenty of people supporting those kind of ideas in this country. Anyway.
Yeah, very much so.
I just wanted to actually mention. I just heard. I think it was Francois was talking about deprogramming. So I'm not trying to sort of have a go at Francois or anything. I sound like a lovely chap. But do you think that deprogramming is the right word? Because
no. You're listen. You're completely right. That's a very confrontational, aggressive word. We could turn it on its head and say,
kind of, down the rabbit hole.
These folks need to be enlightened. They need to be reached out to. But it is deprogramming. I mean, it is very cult-like what they're sucked into, and I find it to be an accurate term, but one that probably does not build any bridges.
Yeah, for sure. I think if they see those, they can point to people like yourself using those, not moving at you yourself, but people on this side of the aisle using those sort of words and say what they're saying, sort of thing. Anyway, sorry,
I agree.
But yeah, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Great call. All right, very good. Let's go over to the regular waiting lobby. What is happening? Okay, we are live on the Pacman Live YouTube channel. We are really close to getting to 13,100 subscribers on the channel. It's been a great day for that channel. We are at 52 new website members. If we get to 100, we'll do another one of these town halls next week. Let's go next to Carrie from Baltimore. Carrie, you're on the air.
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm doing well, Carrie. Thank you.
I have a few questions, actually, and they kind of tie in together. One, you might have got my voicemail. I was talking about the Proud Boys versus Antifa.
Okay.
What is the over-end goal with them? I mean, one of the videos, they're literally just shooting paintballs and fireworks at each other, and it almost seems like it's like grown adults acting make-believe.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like if you're like I think about like the Middle East, like the Taliban and all of them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we are so embarrassing. Like this. I mean, it's embarrassing, but what is their goal for what they're doing? I mean, is it to intimidate people? And do they think just that little amount will intimidate the whole entire country? Like, I just don't understand what their goal is.
I think they have different goals. For some of them, it's just kind of like LARPing and kayfabe. You know, they just want to, they're playing these characters and they like attention and so on and so forth. Some of them see their behavior as a path towards accelerating some kind of revolution of sorts. I don't think there's one answer to that, which is what makes these groups so dangerous, that you can have factions within them that believe any crazy thing. And they're not necessarily communicating to others that that's what they believe. And they are, you know, I think it's just a mishmash of different things.
Well, I mean, going off of that, if their goal is to make a change, I mean, if thinking about war, they're not hurting people essentially. I mean, like death, overall, most of them are not killing everybody.
Yes.
But if I just don't see where this is going, and I feel like it's just like adult men just playing out something.
Yeah, it doesn't feel to me like it's going anywhere good.
Yeah, but it also seems lack of intelligence on their part. Like,
Sure.
It just seems like this is just what we're gonna do.
Yep.
And I don't understand it at all. But the other part is talking about the government and accountability. I mean, throughout the past 30 years, our government has dramatically gone down in being responsible and being held accountable for their actions. I feel like it's just getting dramatically worse. And how long will this continue before if we finally rise up? And what, I mean, because people are mad about the wrong thing.
Yeah. No, as I've said, if we could channel the anger that exists among many into something that's, number one, actually a problem, and number two, a problem that we could solve, it would be amazing what we would be able to do.
I mean, but going back to like the government, we hear about these guys or these people just committing crimes. Like, this is stuff that you and I will go to jail for. Why do they get to get away with it? And it's becoming an actual theme that, hey, I'll just get in the government so I don't have to be accountable for my actions.
Right? If the president does it, it's not illegal. It's that extended.
Exactly. Yeah. So how far is this going to go before it like totally tanks the whole entire like country?
I mean, listen, Carrie, let's be real. It went all the way up to the presidency under Trump, and he's avoided all consequences so far.
Yeah. I mean, well, we've seen it throughout the years. Like I said, I'm only 39, so I can only remember just a little bit when it came down to Clinton. But I just feel like since then, it's just been going, you know, it's like the new thing. I mean, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene or Kristen Sinema or Joe Manchin. They just don't care. They're just blatant about their irresponsibility and just being criminal.
Yeah, without a doubt. I unfortunately think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I do too. I just wonder how long it's going to take, roughly. You know.
5 years. I don't know. I think it's going to get worse for several years at least. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the next 20 years are just going to be really just very drastic.
Let's hope it's not that much. Yeah.
I know. I like to just be, you know, maybe pace realistic a little bit longer, but
yeah.
So thank you so much, David.
All right, Carrie, thank you. Very much appreciate the call. That's Carrie. Let's head back over to the member waiting lobby. I do want to say thank you to Joe Toughhill, who just signed up on my website with the coupon code Felony21 and his new member number 53. So many great people here. Oh, here's an interesting state. Let's go to Hillary from South Dakota. I don't think we've had a call from South Dakota for a long time, if ever. Okay, and Hillary bailed. Hillary from South Dakota bailed. That's too bad. Was looking forward to that. Let's try Vince from Wisconsin. Vince, you're on the air. Vince from Wisconsin, you're on the air. All right, let's stick in Wisconsin and try Steph from Wisconsin. Steph, you're on the air.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, awesome. I was looking forward to hearing someone from Wisconsin as well, but
Well, here you are.
here I am. So, yeah, thanks for calling on Wisconsin. I was just going to say something that I found interesting that I think people don't always talk about with how there's a whole gap in the workforce. They can't find more people, and everyone addresses it as a wage issue. But I also think it's the fact that childcare is just so expensive that there's still almost 2 million working moms that aren't back in the workforce.
Yeah, in a sense, it's still sort of a wage issue in that if the wages made the childcare worth paying for, it would be a calculation that makes so it's sort of still a wage issue.
That's actually a good point. But that was a plug for the Build Back Better agenda, that there is child care subsidies in it. But
Yeah, there's also another thing, which is, you know, we see these strikes happening all across the country, and there's an opportunity right now and a number of factors that have given employees more leverage, and it's because these employers are more desperate than normal for employees. And I'm interested to see what comes from it and to see if workers can achieve things with these strikes and protests that are going on. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, actually.
do you think it's sustainable, or that it'll create a long-lasting change?
Which part?
Just all of the strikes that are happening, and that there are wage increases and changes being made.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, my hope would be that it creates some permanent change, but I think it's just too early to say.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Steph from Wisconsin. Very much appreciated. Thank you. I do want to say thank you to David Hewson, who just signed up on my website using the code Felony21 and his new member number 54. Let's go to Oklahoma. It's Jeff from, some people say Tulsa, some people say Tulsa. Jeff, you're on the air.
David, how's the audio?
The audio is pretty good right now.
Okay, great. I'm actually calling. I don't know if you've covered this. I apologize if you have, but I'm calling about the recent appearance of Sanjay Gupta on Joe Rogan's podcast, and specifically about you've talked about the dangers of going into these types of interviews without being completely prepared, and the fact that they bring up things that you maybe haven't researched and it doesn't look so great on you. And I feel that that applies to that interview. And I just wonder how you think to reach the audience how do you reach the other side when that's the case?
It's very, very tough. Like 'em or hate 'em, Sam Harris has a great podcast answer about this. And the dynamic here that Jeff is referring to is you get into a discussion about, say ivermectin, right? And you go in and you're ready to say, listen, there's lots of cheap medications sitting around, and that's why people throw them at stuff. And we've got a condition here in COVID where most people recover anyway. And so you've got to really be very, very precise in doing these studies. And so far, the meta-analyses of studies that were done acceptably show that there is not a statistically significant benefit to ivermectin versus placebo. And there's the study from Egypt and there's the study from wherever, and those were bad studies for these reasons, and that's the gist of it. And then your opponent needs merely to say, you didn't see the study from you didn't see the study from Slovakia? The study from Slovakia was a placebo-controlled study, and it showed a 50% reduction in mortality for people given ivermectin. That study may exist, it may not. The study may say what that person says, it may not. It's very difficult to be actually ready to put out those small fires that are very easy to start, to quote Sam Harris. And I do think that the Sanjay Gupta, Joe Rogan interview had a lot of that going on. I think, a lot of the clips that have floated around are sort of like meant to make it look way more confrontational than it really was. Joe Rogan is right in the things he's posted saying, the vast majority of the 3 hours was very cordial and we got along really well. But I do think that there are examples of that in that interview for sure.
Right. I think one particular thing that was frustrating was they were talking about the study of myocarditis, and Gupta was trying to say that the people who have been basically they were having this discussion about hospitalizations.
Yes.
And he was talking about, it's not an apples to apples, but Joe Rogan couldn't get it. And it's like, in real time, how do you have that conversation and have it actually be effective?
It's
to
very tough.
Audience?
You've got to be an incredibly well-prepared communicator for things that for a lot of people aren't that obvious. And I don't know how to do that. I mean, I think you have to just take it on every issue one by one. And there were some moments where it clearly was not going to get through to the audience that was listening to that podcast.
Right. Well, that's all I had. Thank you so much for everything you do, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. I really appreciate the call. Very, very good questions. Let's go over to the regular waiting lobby and continue speaking to folks. Why don't we go to Leah from Knoxville, Tennessee? Leah, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. This is my first time calling. I am a little blue splinter in a long red plank.
Yes.
My first question was regarding school board. I have kept up way too much with the situation in Tennessee's local school boards, and I fear for the future of the next generation. So I am looking myself to start investigating how one can become a school board member. Do you have any suggestions on how to approach it so that I could be more appealing to an audience that's generally more conservative?
Well, the first thing is we've got to, I think that in different places, school boards are assembled in different ways. Like I think in some places, city councils choose school board members. In some places, mayors choose school board members. In some places, they are just straight up elections. I think the first step is figuring out which it is. Do you know which it is where you are?
That's a good question. It's probably a city council situation here.
Okay.
To investigate a little bit
So
more,
if the city council chooses, then really you need to appeal to the city council, and maybe the city council would be influenced by people contacting them. So anyway, the point is, first you need to understand what the process is, then you can develop a strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that I think we have a slight majority of conservatives on our city council. So, but thank you for answering that for me. My last question was about my parents. I come from a very conservative background. Basically, my parents, my dad likes watching Tucker Carlson for entertainment.
Okay.
But I think he takes some of the content with him. And my mom listens to Patriot Radio.
Okay. That's the right-wing Sirius XM channel, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, they're in their 60s, and I'm wondering if there's a chance that I could still provide some media literacy techniques for them to prevent them from going any deeper into the rabbit hole.
I think so. I think just of learning a basic Socratic method of questioning where you can say, why do you believe this? And they'll say, well, I saw it on such and such. And how do you know that he or she is telling you the truth? Well, why would they lie? Would you know if they were lying to you? Oh, yeah. Well, how would you know? I think that is probably the best approach.
Just asking more questions.
Yeah, and really getting them to examine why they believe the things they believe.
But not being judgmental in the process.
I mean, you'll probably be judgmental in your head, but at least not being overtly judgmental. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, thank you for taking my call, David. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Leah. Very much appreciate it. This is Leah from Knoxville. I do want to say a huge thank you to Jeremy Jones, who just signed up on my website using the coupon code Felony21 and is today's 55th new member. Speaking of members, why don't we go and speak to Chris from Phoenix, Arizona. Chris, you're on the air.
Hello, David. Nice talking to you.
Pleasure.
Hopefully this goes good for me. First time caller.
You're doing great so far.
Thanks. I don't really have a question for you today, but I just wanted to share something.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're not a doctor or anything, but my boyfriend last week caught COVID. He got reinfected. He already had COVID back in January.
Okay.
During that spike. And then he got the vaccine in May. But here in Phoenix, they don't have really like a mask mandate. And he works in the mall. So he works in the mall without his mask. He goes to the gym like almost every day. He got COVID again. It was all the signature symptoms. Loss of taste, smell, head hurt, fatigued. He quarantined. We didn't see each other for a week. He bought a rapid test, came back negative, or bought a test at CVS, like one of those Binax ones.
Yeah.
Came back negative, went to go get a rapid test done, came back negative. The doctor didn't trust it. They sent a lab. 3 days later, it came back negative. But it was just super weird because it was pretty much COVID. Like he was sweating, fatigued. He smokes a lot of pot and he couldn't even smoke any weed or anything. So like, it was just super weird. I'm not like some conspiracy theorist or something, but it was just super odd that he had experienced all those same symptoms, but all his labs came back negative. So it just.
But now I'm trying to understand. It sounded like you said this was after having the symptoms for a while, he tested negative. Are you saying he tested negative all throughout, even early in this whole thing?
Yeah, first day that he noticed it, I mean, he tried, he put wasabi to his tongue, bit into a red onion, couldn't taste anything. That same day, he bought the Binax. That was our first day of him finding out. The following day after, he went in to take the rapid test and the lab test. They were done immediately right after each other when it came back negative. And the results came back on that Sunday or like 3 days later, saying he was still negative. And the doctors were super perplexed. I mean, he continued to still quarantine himself, but it was just, I don't know if the viral load was just too low, but it was able to affect him like in a weird way, but he was out. Like he couldn't do anything.
That's, yeah, I mean, who knows? As you mentioned, I'm not a doctor. It could have been that the tests all were giving false negatives. Could have been that he had a low viral load. Could have been that it was something other than COVID. That's another thing. I mean, a lot of people, when they get stuffed up, they lose taste and smell, and it's not necessarily COVID. So who knows?
Yeah, I guess to him, it was just like, it felt like the signature stuff of COVID.
Sure.
And I guess they could have all came back negative, of course, that's possible, but it was just super rare, I guess, for us to see. And he came from a conservative background, so he wasn't doubting the vaccine, saying things like, I want my money back, I'm missing work. But I had to tell him, like, the chances are there that you can get reinfected. Like, it's not guaranteed.
Oh, of course.
But, that's all I wanted to share today.
All right, Chris. Well, good. So everybody's feeling better now, though?
Oh, 100% yes.
Good. All right. Very good. I appreciate the call.
All right. Thank you, David.
All right. Very good. There's Chris checking in from Phoenix about the COVID situation with his boyfriend. I did have a video I meant to play earlier and just forgot. Here's a dog who loves the David Pakman Show. Check this out. The topic is 2024. The dog is locked in. The dog absolutely and completely loves it. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today's town hall. I really appreciate everybody who we were able to speak to. This was actually a record number of callers today, which is incredible. We've never done this number of callers before. We didn't get to our membership goal, but let's look at doing another town hall anyway, because there is such demand. We've grown the second channel. We had a nice steady 1,000 live viewers throughout the entire thing. Let's do it again soon, friends. Let's do it again soon.